Detroit sports legend Chauncey Billups now facing charges along with more than 30 others accused of rigging sports bets and poker games backed by mafia families. Good evening, everybody. I'm Rupert Ash.
And I'm Taryn Asher. The feds describe it as one of the most brazen sports corruption schemes since sports betting became legalized. Now, these people are accused of using confidential information about athletes and teams to place hundreds of thousands of dollars in fraudulent bets. And Fox 2's Scott Wolchek is live outside the Pistons Performance Center in Midtown to break down these charges. Scott.
Yeah, this is definitely not anything that Pistons fans would expect from Chauncey Billups. You know, he was the leader of the team that won us that championship in '04. So let me break this down for you because there's a lot of people involved in this, and there's two different indictments. So the FBI have arrested Billups, who is the current head coach of the Portland Trail Blazers, as well as NBA player Terry Rozier, right? So there's two different indictments. Basically, the one that Billups is allegedly involved in are these illegal poker games, right? So they were poker games supposedly put on by the mafia featuring star athletes or former athletes, with Chauncey Billups being what they called a face card, right? So you'd play a game with Chauncey, but what you didn't know, these poker games were totally rigged with things like special tables that can read what the cards are even though they're face down. You also have special contact lenses that can read marked cards. All of this was being relayed to somebody who was known as the quarterback. They would relay all this information and tell people like Chauncey, hey, this is what's going on at the table, and give them advice. That way, they would basically clean house of whoever the victim was. I caught up with a former special agent with the FBI to talk about this situation because this was a huge bust involving more than 30 people, including the mafia.
I worked the mafia for many, many years in the FBI. This is their bread and butter, gambling, right? So if they get these types of individuals, they get their hooks into them, they can manipulate games, manipulate the betting system. This is what they love. This is how they make their money.
Any thoughts on why these guys do this? I mean, this dude's an NBA head coach. You'd think he'd be making some money.
Yeah, well, it's money. It's the game, right? It's the action. You know, in my career in the FBI, I dealt with a lot of these types of individuals. There's degenerate gamblers. It's a mental thing. They can't help themselves. Usually in cases like this, yeah, they kind of come in waves. So I would not be surprised if there's another wave of indictments and arrests.
And speaking of those indictments and arrests, that other indictment really centers around Terry Rozier and other players basically leaking information about injuries or even faking injuries, having people bet on the on their unders to basically walk away with thousands of dollars. So a lot more is expected to come out as this situation develops. Of course, we will keep you updated with the very latest. Reporting live downtown Detroit, Scott Wolchek, Fox 2 News.
Yeah, there's so much to unpack, and you did a nice job doing it so far, but we're just kind of scratching the surface. But just to be clear, Chauncey Billups in this case, he's accused of being part of that poker scheme, while others are basically involved with perhaps the poker scheme and that gambling, the sports gambling scheme, right?
Yeah, so the sports gambling scheme, that's a lot of the types of things that you've heard about in the past, right? Where once sports betting became legal, you started seeing certain guys like Malik Beasley, who is not named in this case at all, you know, being accused of basically kind of rigging games in that sense with sports betting, right? So in this situation, Rozier was accused of basically saying, hey, I'm going to leave with an injury early in the game. Everybody else could say, okay, we know that he's going to be out. I'm going to bet on the under and get away with it. Billups is all accused of this rigged poker game.
All right, so much more on this coming up in the hours and days to come. Scott Wolchek for us live with our top story. Thank you, Scott.
And our team coverage continues right now with Fox 2's Woody Woodruff, and joining us with his take. I mean, this is massive, and people you heard why. This guy's, look at how much he has, Chauncey Billups, going on and others.
I mean, this is shocking because you want to know, like, hey, why would somebody do this? I mean, you know, it's because of the scope of the investigation. 34 people arrested in this tells me this is much bigger than 3 NBA guys and might be the tip of a very large iceberg. Now, there are 2 different cases here. As Scott explained, one concerns gambling and prop bets. That's where Terry Rozier is connected. reported the NBA conducted a year-long investigation on his connection to fixing prop bets based on his game stats. But if that's true, then how was he cleared by NBA security in that matter? For Chauncey Billups, the allegation is that he and former Cleveland player and assistant coach Damon Jones were high-profile players known as face cards used to lure in unsuspecting victims to poker games that were rigged and backed by the mafia. Both Billups and Rozier have been placed on leave from their respective teams, and Tiago Splitter will be the interim head coach in Portland. My question tonight is, why? Billups had a long and lucrative NBA career and was making between $5 and $8 million as the head coach of the Trailblazers, so why possibly jeopardize all that for what, $50K, $100K? Bottom line is, we are a long way off from a resolution in this case, but right now it is a head-scratcher because we should be celebrating the start of the NBA season. And now this is going to put a pall on the NBA season for years.
The coach is suspended, and then the legal ramifications.
And that whole cloud of doubt now over who else may be involved. And, you know, the feds are often quick, but sometimes slow to roll out who else may have been involved.
Or the question about the integrity of the game now.
That's right.
Because now you have bettors out there thinking that games were rigged and fixed, and now they lost money. Everybody's mad.
Yeah.
So, yeah, this...
even the gambling portion also involved.
This is not going away quickly.
They suck the innocence right out of the game.
Exactly. There is. Now, as I said, there's a lot to unpack. We'll be talking about it all tonight on the Sports Office. Stream it live from Fox Local from 7 to 7:30 p.m. You can also be a part of the conversation on Zoom. Just scan the QR code there on your screen to get in the game.